Go.
Episode 3. What?
Are we really going to have episode numbers? Or is it just...
I'm just saying. I'm just setting, I'm shaking off some dust.
Okay.
Just trying to get loose.
All
We got the dynamic warm up on the mics going. Okay.
These things.
And we're back for another episode at the Ace Place. Now, sir, you wanted to include what we were going back and forth about before, and it's been rocky in between episode 2 and 3 for multiple reasons. One, if you look at my mic and you look at the gentleman across from me's mic, one's got the pop filter, one doesn't. And
Don't need it.
we agree to disagree. It's just better with.
It's fat.
It's fat.
It's clunky. It
It's
looks like
sure.
a misfit.
And then he's trying to roast me for my orange hoodie.
Orange. Oh, I don't even know if it's orange.
He's saying it's a nasty color. He's questioning my decisions with regard to my garb. And he's sitting over there looking like Big Bird. Okay, so what are we talking about, ladies and gentlemen? We're talking about all things appreciate, celebrate, elevate. Okay.
MTD mission.
Yeah. And I told B to get in a storytelling, reflective, looking at the past kind of mood. But before that, sir, how you feeling today?
Feeling good.
Weather lugubrious.
Bit of a lugubrious day out,
Yeah.
but it's okay. I remember my brother on a pod a while ago. We used to naturally, when we'd open up pods, this exact thing would happen. And it would be like, how you doing? How are you, C? I'm good. Yeah, nice weather out. And I remember one time right before a pod, he was like, dude, enough talking about the fucking weather. Like and then the more I think about it, and I've thought about it, and I really feel this, is you can't control the weather. So quite frankly, I don't pay too much attention to it. You love a good sunny day,
Of
with
course,
that being said.
yeah.
And we seem to not be able to get 2 in a row. But
yeah.
I mean, how weak are you to let weather change your whole
Yeah, I mean,
ability to get shit done?
it's funny you say that because that was you once. I remember however long ago you used to really be honest and vulnerable with me about how the presence or lack thereof of that sunshine got to you.
Yeah. It's called growth.
Yeah, it sure is. Now, speaking about growth, we're going to the most important, step, part of the growth, the roots. Secures everything down in the ground, builds a strong foundation. I want to talk about our roots, right? Because we've alluded to us being in this elevation process for many years, right? Side by side, COVID, all this and that. Sir, what's tell the story of, and then give me the first thing that comes to mind when I say AE early work.
Well, we got to go back even further.
Okay.
There would have been no AE early work without that serendipitous moment up at the park.
Okay. Who's telling this one?
I will.
Okay.
So it was it was during those COVID days where COVID hit in March. Things shut down, I think, around like mid-April, later April. Like they finally, which looking back is outrageous, that they really boxed off hoops.
Yeah.
So
Zip tied them up.
So that you couldn't shoot outside, as if that was going to prevent a pandemic from continuing
like there's
to
that
permeate.
much pickup in Arlington.
Yeah, right. Or just for someone on your own to go up and shoot.
Well, I mean, the pickup was the main, concern. Was that
right?
High volume, lot of contact.
As if that's happening.
And we were really just trying to get some jimmies up.
Yeah. So anyway, finally they opened the hoops back up, and I remember walking up to the park. Things are still pretty shut down, but I went up to the park to shoot around, and you were up there with another friend.
Yeah.
And I remember we shot around a bit. I think I still even did my own thing, I think, down the other end. But then I remember...
I think you joined us.
I might join for a bit, but not that long. And then I remember being like, hey, what are you doing? You guys coming back tomorrow?
Yeah.
because it's like you had no one to really do stuff with, and I was like, all right, let's do it.
And just for some context, we had largely been out of touch at this point.
Yes, yeah.
Our
Because that was when I left.
yeah,
I left.
exactly.
That was the first year I was gone out of Arlington, so we had been real tight.
Yeah.
And then naturally, just I was
Yeah.
living a different life, different timing.
Yeah.
So yeah, largely been out of touch.
And what, and I'll cut you off again because it's so tough to paint this picture. It was cinematic.
It was.
You saw the sunshine coming over that wall that, got taller as you went down the hill, which means, you saw more and more of the man with the glistening blonde hair in the sunshine come up the hill. Okay. As he emerged from over this rock wall, and just came into frame like it was a cinema, I was watching it on the big screen. and I said, is that the kid?
Is that the kid?
And the rest of
the rest will be history.
Yes,
so for the ensuing
it was cinematic.
For the ensuing month, roughly,
Yeah.
certainly several straight weeks, day after day, we got up early, like anywhere from 6:30 to 7:30.
Yep.
Went up to the park and just got shots up.
Yeah.
And I remember this came after, and it was perfect. And I don't know if I've even said this to you, but I appreciate you because I had, when COVID hit, I was just drained from basketball. I had an ankle injury that took me out of a lot of my sophomore year at Nobles. Then my coach said he was leaving, which really hurt. And then the season ended, and then AAU was starting right back up, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I needed a break from basketball. And I really was like questioning whether I loved it. Like looking back, it was a really odd time. Like I'm like, how was I in that state of mind?
Yeah. Probably just such a, volatile type of concoction of all these different emotions and situations.
And that's
whatnot.
when you're starting to think about college. So
Yeah,
it feels like you start doing it less for yourself and more
Yeah.
for like trying to impress a coach and
Yeah.
get in the right spot. So I was worn out. And then we started like having someone that is relying on you being there
Yeah.
day after day goes a long damn way.
Difference maker.
It is. So like working on your own, it's a great discipline to have because sometimes that's what you got to do. But doing it with a group or with one other or a team, that's when it's special because everyone's relying on you to be there and your presence matters. So you were always there, and we showed up day after day, got shots up. That took us through the summer, which then led to the fall, which we were back in school, but it was still modified. It was that hybrid stuff.
Yeah.
And I was working out like strength and conditioning at Athletic Evolution in Woburn, which they have a basketball court adjacent to the weight room that is often available. And because I'd go lift in the morning, I was like, wait, the court's wide open.
Yeah.
But during the afternoon, it's occupied. They're using it for some other program.
Right.
So I said, wait, Ro, it might be a little chilly out. We can still get shots up.
Yeah,
So I started picking up Ro, or vice versa, like 5:30. We'd go because Zoom class would start at 9.
Yeah.
Monday through Wednesday, then Thursday, Friday for me was in person. I think it was similar for you. So
Something like that.
So we'd go from like 6 to 8,
Yeah.
shots up, get back, shower, be on Zoom. And then I would go lift in the afternoon when the gym was the basketball hoop was up. That was the genesis of the bondage that really has led to this consistent mindset of elevation.
Yeah, and we I would say at least 80% from the field for showing up, and there's a big difference in this is a daily thing. And, I know the people at UMass who are there at 6 when that metal gate comes up and everybody can swipe in. I know who's consistent, and I know who I see
Once in a blue moon.
Once in a blue moon, a couple times a week. They wake up a little tired. They love that pillow.
Consistency's hard, man.
Yeah. And, we had volume.
We did. And
we were dedicated, and we were young. Like we weren't, where we are now at all, but what were we, like 17-ish?
Yes, we were both 17.
So,
but it was fun. You know
it was
what I mean?
so fun.
It was fun. And that's
Blast.
that was that rediscovering of like, wait, this is why I do it.
Yeah.
Like this is
yeah.
getting me out of bed easily
Mm-hmm.
and doing it with someone who knows you and also wants to get better.
Yeah.
That was special. And yeah, the more I look back on it, I'm like, damn, that really was a hell of a time.
Yeah. And I feel like that was so important, especially at that time with the COVID, with just a decreasing in the amount of obligations we had, and like obligations kind of giving us like a reason to get up
Yeah.
and, go through our routine, whether, it was monotonous and we disliked it or liked it. Like, it's interesting how if you don't have something to do consistently, even if you do not like it,
Yeah.
that's a difference maker. And you might feel worse off without, something to keep you busy and fulfilled. But I mean, we loved it. The Harvard guys would be on the turf.
Yeah, right. Because so Harvard
football
was real strict with the COVID.
Yeah.
So their whole football team would make the trip. At like kudos to them, dogs.
Always there.
At 4 days a week.
Yeah.
Would be there lifting at 6 a.m. in the weight room while we would be shooting because you weren't allowed to like use the athletic facilities at Harvard.
Yeah.
Because it was like, oh, that's a risk. And shout out to AE for being with no masks. We were just fucking living. But yeah, those are some dogs too.
Yeah.
Shout out to Harvard football for that. But yeah, bro, those kind of set the paradigm for, because you saw results. We each had our like own seasons.
Yeah, right.
It was like Monday you'd get tested. If you're everyone was negative, you'd play on the weekend.
Yeah.
So I remember you'd watch my games. I'd see yours on the screen, like from here.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, oh, he's ripping. Like, you could see it. I remember feeling it myself, and you had a great year too of like trusting that work because we put in so much of it. And, years later, I feel like that work's still paying off.
Yeah. I feel like it kind of came late in my high school, hoop career and just kind of like high school experience in general. But I definitely continued that momentum as a freshman right away. In my rec career. Sure.
Yeah. Well, you know what's weird for me too is I haven't been that early of a guy since. Or then I'd go early at Nobles, like when school opened back up, because I'd be there all day. So I was like, let me go shoot before school. But since going to college, I'm not like get a workout in that early.
Yeah.
And and there's moments where I'm like, how did I do it? But again, it's all consistency and adjustment, because we got used to it and it was like effortless. And I know you could speak to that because you do it every day, which I still can't quite grasp my head around. But you said that shit's easy.
I mean, I guess, yeah. It's, I feel like with the early work, sacrifices is automatic. Like if you're not willing to do that, either you're going to fail or you're not going to reap what you can from it as much as somebody who's all in and really like religious almost with that being their life and their routine and what they're dedicated, to. And I mean, really all it is when you look at it is like lack of sleep is probably the biggest kryptonite to a thorough, like early routine and really reaping from it results. Cause like you can do whatever in the gym and try to reach your goals and whatnot. But if your sleep's messed up, like you need time to recover and you need, that off time to really have shit sink in. So, like I mentioned before we started, chatting right here, like I don't mess around with my sleep. I take that shit very seriously. For many reasons, recovery, health, mental health. Don't get me started. It's a future topic. But here's my thing. My question, like, it's, and I've, had this pop up in my head a couple times as we've been talking here, but like, what exactly is it about that AE that was different?
Here's what I'll tell you.
It's,
and this is what I'll say
because
to you.
like, yeah, it's early, but I'm trying to capture
No.
an essence. I can't articulate it.
I'll challenge with this. How much of it, obviously sleep is imperative,
Yeah.
but how much of it really, and I look back, it's like how much of it is sleep, you need enough sleep, or is it you have to love what you're doing?
Yeah.
And it's going to waver on days, obviously.
Of course.
Of course. It's never, you're not going to ride the high that, like, when you initially set out for that goal, when you're like, oh, you have some days where that vision ain't that clear. But I think about some days where I remember even we did the March Madness thing for MTD, and it was the day that March Madness started, and we had it all set up for it to go out. And I remember waking up so easily. It was so early. I couldn't go back to bed. It was like, get me out of bed. And I've had plenty of other days, but there's also some days where you're like, fuck, what lies ahead on this day. You wake up and you can't wait to go back to bed later that night. That feeling, which either sometimes sounds depressing, but also it's like, good. It means you want to get back to bed and get to sleep at some point, but then that wears off. So I think with that AE stuff, I think it was two things. It was really that feeling of nobody is doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
More than I think anything else. Mixed with it was fun. Because you know what? Because you took for granted the availability of these things.
Yeah.
The ability to get in a gym, to shoot on a normal hoop, to not have a mask on, to bump music that you want to.
Yeah, yeah.
And not have to run it by. Like that was also part of it.
Yeah, yeah.
It became less available. And so you had to appreciate
seize the opportunity. Yeah, yeah. I remember, and part of, like I said, that thing I couldn't articulate was that, like, it sounds shitty, but that feeling of separation, that feeling of like, kind of like closing yourself off and, drilling into your own head and your own perspective. Like, this is me, or this is me and the people I'm doing this with, and only us.
Yeah.
And it's like us versus them.
Right.
And I feel like there's a chance for you to transcend that with the early work and make it me versus me. And that's like a more mature thing that I've especially started to realize, where like that's not a source of disconnection from others. Like, and I feel a lot more unity, like I'm almost doing it for them so that I can improve and, just grow as a person so that I can offer more. But I feel like you really don't understand it maybe as fully, and you don't like get as much from it if you don't feel that like me versus everybody.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like memes or like, bullshit mentality. Like, okay, what are we doing here? Me versus the world, all this and that. But like at a certain point, you do kind of get in this energy, and it's nice, bro. It's Grover. It's addictive to me. But yeah, that's definitely a piece, I think.
Big piece. It was a big piece. So
yeah, those
days will live on. We'll tell our grandkids about those days, those early dark mornings.
Yeah. And it kind of felt like sort of like some ritual maybe for a bigger thing. It was deeper. It goes deeper than basketball.
Oh, definitely.
It goes deeper than, just working on our jumpers so that I can try to tear up the Middlesex League. And this, this man can, tear up his friends, maybe future teammates. I know a couple of them. But, it definitely felt like, especially now in retrospect, which we didn't realize then and know then, but like that was building towards something deeper. An investment of sorts that really taught us more than reps.
And just reps. Yeah, well, it's what we alluded to on past episodes, where it's that idea of goals.
Yeah.
And there wasn't necessarily like we had small goals within a workout. Let's get like, we'd have make amounts.
Yeah, right.
You know, we'd be like, let's get 200 threes each this morning.
Yeah.
And so those were small goals that we felt, you know, if you get these done, if we do this 3 times a week, we're making at least 700, 800 shots. And then that doesn't even count our practices and all that. So but nonetheless, you're saying, okay, this is going to evolve my game, sharpen me up, all that. So small goals. So then when you see the results, that serves as that paradigm for like, okay, this can transcend me going to the gym. This can, I can apply this to my life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If I want to become a wiser man, I got to read more.
Yeah.
If I want to,
Yeah.
you know, be a better writer, write more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that's what when I think of AE. And then also it's what you said, when you go through something where only you and I like went through that and understood it. You know what I mean? And we just never shared, and it's not even something that like sharing it now is like, you know, we want no.
Yeah.
It's more that like you build a bond with someone when you go through something that few can understand. And we got to know each other better. I remember mornings, it was funny. There would be mornings where it was like you and I, it became like what's known doesn't need to be said.
Yeah.
And so there would be mornings I'd pick you up. It was literally 5:30. We're both tired. Probably even a part of us is like, this is a grind.
Yeah.
And there'd be
By the way, we were not jazzed every fucking 5:30.
No.
Like there are too many days when you wake up, you're like, the fuck did I sign up for? But that boy's outside in the whip, or he's waiting at his crib,
and you can't let him down. Yep.
Can't.
That goes a long way. That's that accountability and having those. That's why having the right people around you, surrounding yourselves with people who force you to elevate, is essential to
We've blogged about this in many different respects and perspectives, but I remember car rides where nothing was said. Yeah, because it was like, all right, you're tired. Yeah, we don't need to start blabbing. But then there'd be other ones where we talk about all different kinds of shit that was well beyond basketball. Yeah. And I think that in itself is the beauty of sports. You know, when you go through something hard with people, you're going to get to know them more. You get to see what's inside them. Yeah. And those create those lifelong bonds. Yeah. And this was something that sports and, you know, how that's a teacher was something I wanted to bounce off you. I've been thinking about it a few times. And it's right in line with this discussion, but even before the AE stuff, right? When we just found so much purpose in basketball, it went beyond, hey, let's meet and shoot. This was a life project as far as time spent outside the lines of the court and time spent inside, right? Outside, we started journaling. Yeah, it was we started reading. We started studying Tim Grover, which been referenced many times. Been referenced. You need to give I'll introduce him. So, trainer of Michael Jordan and Kobe, D Wade, Barkley, and now does pro NBA players, NFL players. You know what I just saw on his Instagram the other day? See? He's training McGregor. Okay. Who's got a fight coming up. So let me tell you one thing. Sure. McGregor's put all money on McGregor. Yeah. For sure. And so we started, you know, just studying not only the mental side of the game, George Mumford, The Mindful Athlete, excellent book. Good book. Trainer, what was it? What was his title? Like a sports psychologist with the Bulls in the 90s, read his book. Read Tim Grover stuff, studied Mike and Kobe, right? Just studied, you know, their mentality, their stories, like their strategies for bringing the most out of themselves. I mean, you know, if you like those trash talk or like those sports stories, like you've probably seen a YouTube short or two where Mike, with no reason at all, just vilifies the opposing coach, an opposing player guarding him or something like that. And he's doing it not out of malice for that person, but because he knows that's a way to pull out a button, to give some Grover language here, that he can then push, and that button fires him into 110.
Yeah.
Fires him into flow.
Fuels that dark side.
So yeah. And it snaps and it's instant and he's there. And he delivers. And it goes away after the game. And it was just a tool to deliver whatever his, personal reasons for playing were, to deliver the most he could. But back to my point, right? This went beyond just shots. It went into journaling. It went into studying, the mental side, putting more attention toward how we approach things, etc. And so what do you have to say about, sports being, from your own perspective, right, a teacher way, way, way beyond the game? I think it's, it's interesting how we play these when we're jits, right? We play these from a young age. It's just a game, kind of something we do. Our parents might just throw us in the field, and you might have a stampede of people coming back and forth as they go down and back, it might feel like. But, it's really something that you can put time, energy, mental effort toward and reap more than the game.
Yeah.
Far more.
Yeah, sports are way more than a game.
Yeah.
And the older I'm getting, the more I realize that. I think sports are a vehicle that allow you to find more in yourself.
Yeah.
It teaches you countless lessons. It teaches you humility, because there's always going to be someone a level up from you.
Yeah.
No matter how much you feel you're on top of the world, you're going to run into someone who brings you back down to earth.
Yep.
You learn obviously all kinds of, you learn so many ways. You figure out the basically the model that you need to apply to life in order to find success, which is resilience, sacrifice, redefining success, like we've talked about in the past episode, and unwavering work ethic and confidence in yourself. That I think is what sport teaches more than anything, and what that confidence comes from is that work. And so that transcends sports. That becomes in life. If you want to think about, you want to be a better public speaker, then you got to become you got to be more articulate, and vocab. So read more, write more, and you got to be willing to fail, and learn and evolve and grow. And that's what I like, looking back on years back when I've played, and then seeing how you literally change, like whether it's your body or your movement patterns or your kind of tendencies. That in itself is a microcosm of how you should approach life. Is like you have to keep getting better, because sports, people are always from when you start when you're young to through high school and college, it just keeps getting better. It moves fast. It's like it moves real fast, then it slows down again. Then you go to college and it moves fast again. Then it slows down and then it's over. And if you're lucky enough, maybe then you go pro and it goes fast again and then it slows down. So I think that's no different than figuring out who you are. So when we think about more than different, it's like, I think looking back on the motive to start it was just that of, I always knew for Colin and I was like, there's so much more in who we are than just athletes, because that's a danger, that's a peril of sports sometimes, is that it becomes,
and we've talked about this,
it's how you define yourself. That becomes your own perception, as I'm a basketball player, I play football, whatever, baseball, soccer. And I remember that always kind of bothering me. And so like part of the motive looking back, starting More Than Different, was just that, is like there's more in me.
Yeah.
And so much of what helped me find more in me, though, was sport.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's special about it to me. It really is more than a game.
Yeah, 100%. And we talked about, I guess the vulnerability of young people in over-identifying with that sport that they play. Because, like I said, with our work kind of transcending basketball, like when you spend a lot of time alone or with somebody who thinks a lot like you and is also consuming the same type of material, stories, etc., and adopting the same kind of strategies, that's a personal discovery. That's a actualization and recognition process in yourself. And I feel like that's honestly one of the most important things, maybe the most important decision we made with that COVID, was like, who are we?
Yeah.
Let's just do shit. Let's just have fun and try to get good at this basketball game, find new ways to improve, whatever. And on the way, whether we were aware of it or not, that's character building. That builds who you are. And I know that as we establish that killer, that relentlessness that we still pull out of the toolkit whenever we need it. Might be a little easier now because the routine's a bit more automatic just for maturity, but that's forever a piece of me.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's no mistake, and this might be true for you as well, that's the first piece, is that relentlessness, is that ethic, just that desire to put forth your best in whatever, whenever. And that's, probably a Rushmore life skill, extremely critical. But again, maybe, I guess, to speak in third person, that's a fundamental pillar of who I am as a person, and it's taught through sport. Now could that have been done outside of basketball? 100%.
Yeah, you know what, just to get right on that, is I think about the term vulnerability, which is a buzzword now, for better or worse, I'm not sure. Okay. But the ability to be vulnerable is important, whether it's to yourself or to others. Yeah. And being able to admit certain things you're feeling, issues the first step is becoming aware and being willing to be your own accountability department and be vulnerable. So I look back and sports make you so vulnerable. Yeah. It's not as visibly, it's not said, but it's shown in so many ways, or you're thinking it. I even think about that, when we, really that desire to get back into basketball really hard once COVID started, once the hoops opened up and we started working out. Obviously, I'm glad you were there because that helped me get my ass up there, but it was also I'm not where I want to be. I'm not good enough. This makes me uncomfortable. With basketball, it was always and it still is, there's things that bother me that I feel uncomfortable out there that I can't do. Can do a lot. But then it's I don't feel as good a defender as I could be. And that makes me so uncomfortable. Yeah. And that comes back to what I said on one of the Ask Pods previously, is okay, if it makes me uncomfortable, fucking resolve it. Yeah.
Talking about Brunson and the pivots.
Yeah, or when your release is slower, it's it feels slow, it feels weird. Then fucking work on it. Or all kinds of things that, I've always had little things, even I, undersized, don't have a long wingspan. It would be geez, I feel uncomfortable. And then, so it forces you to confront those things and deal with them and adjust and adapt. Or are you going to quit? Yeah. No, of course not. And so when I think about you were about to say, when I jumped in, it was could I have learned that other ways? Absolutely. Yeah. But it forces you to almost deal with these things without realizing it. or verbalizing what it was you were feeling, like vulnerability. And then when it does show up in different forms of your life, whether it's like academically or socially, it's nothing you haven't seen.
Yeah. 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 And I mean, this might be the last point I'll throw out, but it's definitely one I want to state is that sports and life are a micro macrocosm relationship. Basically, sports are true to you, right? What you put into sports is what you get.
Yeah.
What you put into life is what you reap with your success in whatever metric you measure it in. But to round the discussion out, right, sports are just an avenue, and a really popular one at that, for just teaching you, like, if you want something, you can get it. All you have to do is work for it. It requires sacrifice. It's not fun in the moment. But when you step in between the lines in uniform instead of in your workout clothes, and it's time to suit up, the bright lights are on, to get a bit cheesy. That's where you're the happiest. That's where you find the flow. That's where you break, plateaus. And you really feel that just energy, that aliveness of pushing further, of that flow.
Give me chills right now.
And you get that at any point in your life, even after the sports stop, if you keep pushing relentlessly as an adult throughout your whole life,
No doubt. Wow, that gave me goosebumps. I'll say this too.
He didn't like the orange hoodie, huh? Got him chilly in his yellow one, even though he's in a nice warm house.
Yeah. No, I think to round out a few things and to connect back to things we've alluded to in the past, I have one thought that came to mind is that idea you said, you get out what you put in, and there is an element with sports too that teaches you that lesson of like, you got to redefine success.
Yeah.
Because there's controllables and there's uncontrollables, which is another thing you got to learn in life too, is like sports are unforgiving.
Yeah, 100%.
Just like life is.
Yep. And
the sooner you accept that and embrace that and have that ability to be adaptable and redefine success. Like it's every person who plays basketball growing up, it's like D1, D1, D1.
Yeah.
And then it was like, wait, that's not the path that makes the most sense to optimize myself as a player and feel like I maxed myself out.
Right.
And I made the perfect decision, and I'm where I am at Emerson, and I love basketball more than ever.
Yeah.
But at that moment when I had to accept that, redefine, like, okay, wait, me not going Division I, like that goal I set when I was 12, is not a failure.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at all.
Because the frame's changed.
The frame's changed, and sports teaches you that as well. But yeah, I don't know what kind of person I'd be without sports. I worry when I meet people who have never played a sport. I question them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not questioning it like judge or anything,
right.
But
they like we've said, that's such a potent teacher.
It is.
You wonder if that's been supplied from something else.
Can it be? I think that's the question. I don't know if it can. It can.
You need a strong figure, I think, who knows how to supply that, or I think a really potent and rare, unfortunately, constellation of experiences.
You can tell the difference between someone who played sports in their life and someone who didn't.
Yeah.
But hey, we don't. That's okay.
Yeah.
But I'll just tell you, I'm damn sure appreciate sports.
Yeah, 100%. Sir.
Good dialogue.
Good dialogue. Another flow state. All of a sudden, this episode's complete.
See you folks next epi.
Absolutely. We ended it with a piece. I feel like that's a good one.
Peace.
Peace.